From Goalpost Studios in downtown East Lansing, Michigan,
Hello and welcome to the Earn More, Keep More show.
where it's our job to give you tips, tricks, and strategies to earn more and keep more. I'm Dave McAndrews, and I believe that we should focus our marketing on messages that are all about our clients so that we can connect with them in a way that they can understand.
And I'm Matt Love, and I believe in being efficient with our companies so that we are able to keep more of what we make.
Me up beautifully, and that's why I stay plugged in, and I always contribute to my community.
Welcome back to the Earn More, Keep More show. We made it through the first month of the year. A lot of our folks were out there going and making the New Year's resolution of earning more and keeping more happen.
I love it.
What are some of the things that you were able to think about in your own business? What are some of the things that you are concentrating on in order to keep that earn more, keep more thought alive?
One of the things that I'm really focused on this year, I think this podcast kind of proves it, helping other people get what they want. Mm-hmm. I think Zig Ziglar said, if you help other people get what they want, you'll surely get what you want. I really want to try and help elevate other people's businesses, make that a focus this year so that they can see success.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I love about what you do is you actually give ways for entrepreneurs to keep more money in their pocket so that they can apply it to their businesses, so that they can grow their businesses, so that they can actually produce more income over the long term. So I think that's an amazing thing. One of the cool things that we had in the month of January is just everybody chomping at the bit, on the client side in terms of, okay, how are we going to schedule out the year? How are we going to do things a little bit differently in order to increase the bottom line, to earn more? And people this time of year are really open to that. And I think that's incredibly important. But one of the things that you really have to take into account whenever you're starting something is, what does that mean for the long term? And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is the concept of the importance of endurance. Yeah. And endurance is one of the greatest qualities that any entrepreneur can have. If you have the ability to stick with something, even if it's not the absolute best plan in the world, if you don't have it all worked out, if you're willing to stick to something and do it over a long period of time, you're going to see results from that. And to that end, or go ahead, what were you saying?
Both positive and negative. Endurance
Sure.
is going to show you what's working and what's not. And I think that we're going to talk about on this as well, is the discipline keeps you there for the endurance, and then the endurance is going to show you what's working and what isn't.
Let's play a game.
The idea of a resolution kind of makes me think of, I got to fix something. And I'm a very big believer in mindset, and having a positive mindset really helps me get through a more successful day. And instead of coming up with resolutions this year, I decided to create habits. See, when I think of a resolution, I have to fix something that's kind of a negative connotation, whereas this year it's more about New Year's habits. And what am I going to change this year and get something that I want? What do I want to create this year, and how do I get there? So I'm creating habits this year, which to me is much more of a positive mindset for the year going forward.
And habits are something that build on themselves, right? So you have something that you do on a consistent basis, and then that builds over time to turn into something.
Absolutely.
And really that's the differential. When we have the Earn More, Keep More show resolutions, that's really what we're talking about, is how can we create those habits within individuals that can significantly change the trajectory of their careers and their lives. Because if you are building into your daily activity, your daily work, important habits that are going to allow you to get results, better results, that's really the keys of the kingdom right there.
And it's goal now to make these positive desires a routine. So you start by making them a habit. Sooner or later it becomes a routine, and that's where growth happens.
Absolutely. And one of the groups that is amazing at creating habits for themselves is really the subspecies of human being that is triathlete. Our very first fun fact of the day is, did you know that according to a New York Times article, that the average income for a MDOT triathlete
Yeah.
is $247,000 per year?
It's incredible. Say that number again.
Isn't that kind of a weird thing?
That's incredible.
$247,000 per year is the average income of an Ironman triathlete.
Unbelievable.
And when you think about that, there's so much that goes into that. One, yes, it's a super expensive sport that only people who are fairly well off can afford.
Well, I would argue the cost of Speedos have gone down in the last few years.
That's true. Ever since you've been wearing them, is that what's driving the market down?
That's got to be what it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But the bikes are expensive.
Sure.
But I don't think it's the cost that allow. This is like a chicken or the egg conversation.
Sure.
What comes first, the income, or the fact that you're an Ironman? I don't believe that because you're wealthy you do an Ironman. I believe, and I think this is where you're going here, that because you train for the Ironman, that teaches you these principles that you can apply in everyday life, creating habits. Is that where you're kind of going?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a writer by the name of Paul David broke down 5 different elements that he believes makes up an Ironman. And what I believe that this really drives to is the core of who these people are normally, and they put themselves in a situation to be in something like an Ironman, and that really lends itself to being very successful in business, being very successful as people who run companies, all these sorts of things. But then he gets into what I believe to be kind of the crux or the nitty gritty is you have to have, he uses fortitude. I think of fortitude, the concept of you have to have the ability to grind it out day after day, year after year, month after month. I think of that as really endurance. And one of the things that I like to talk to my clients about, and one of the things that I try to exhibit in whatever I do, is the ability to have endurance is different than people understand or believe. And we'll get into that a little bit today. Matt, by the way, is beginning to train for his Ironman over this summer.
And just so everybody knows, an Ironman is a triathlon, extremely popular worldwide. It's a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike ride, and a marathon, which is 26.2 mile run, all in the same day. So they limit you at 17 hours. After 7, you start at 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning. After 17 hours, they say, okay, you have to go home. If you didn't cross the finish line, you're done.
Have you done a full yet?
I have not. I know you've done a half.
Yes. So Matt and I have both done half Ironmans.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's just as far as I want to go. And if that takes me out, slightly below the average of the Ironman earnings minimum, then I'm okay with that. But the 70.2 distance was just fine with me. When I think about endurance, most people think you really have to be a certain type of person in order to have that endurance mentality. You really have to be someone who gravitates themselves toward the concept of an Ironman in order to do one. And I believe that it is much more basic than that. And I think that the key is the ability to make a decision and live like that decision is already come to fruition. Endurance really comes down to just that, the ability to take that one step and then follow it up with another.
And so does business.
And so is business.
You make a decision if you want to own a company or start a company. Are you going to take a step? Or are you going to be an entrepreneur or a wantrepreneur? I watched Shark Tank.
Gotta watch Shark Tank. So you make that decision, you take that step, and then you continually take step after step. And I think when people get into business, a lot of times they don't know everything that they need to know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Okay, so the don't know what you don't know for today
Yeah.
is the ability to start and maintain a business is all about endurance. It is about the ability to make a decision, take a step. And that has been exhibited most clearly to me in my life in my family's adoption journey. Okay, we made a decision about 12 years ago to adopt.
Wow.
And at that point in time, we decided, we already had in our mind that we didn't know who it was, but there was going to be someone who would be living in our house with us, sharing as part of our family. And,
Wow.
and between the point that decision was made and the point where the kids actually came home, there was no change in that. We always had the end goal. We had that climactic scene in our minds. We didn't know exactly what it would look like, but we made that decision. And in order to make that type of decision, there are about 5,000 things that have to happen. But if you think about every one of those 5,000 things, and this is, I think, where people get absolutely crippled by the decisions in their daily life and their business, is
I could go on forever about this.
if you have 5,000 things you have to do, you will not start.
Nope.
You will keep your head on that pillow. You will hit the snooze button. You will not start going. Had we known even that there was 5,000 steps, we probably wouldn't have started. But we made a decision. We had an end goal in mind, and we began that process.
Yeah.
And now I look at anything that I do in business, and whenever I start a planning process or decide to do something, I realize that I have to have an idea of about what the end goal might be, and then be able to say, okay, I'm going to take a step. Take that step, take the next step, and then a whole lot more are going to follow. And if you have a good idea, you have a conviction to where you are going to be able to think through and have an achievable, it doesn't even have to be achievable, or you don't even have to believe
Quantifiable.
that it's achievable. You have to be able to visualize it. If you can visualize it in some way that you have the goal, you can just progress like it already exists.
Yeah, I call that a quantifiable goal, something you can define when I get there. Rather than, I want to be happy this year. How do you define happy? Happy could be so many things. So the quantifiable, when you know that you get there. If you don't, again, this is where data comes back too. But what a great story about endurance and taking that first step. Knowing the final destination is the first thing that needs to be figured out before anybody should worry about anything about how. The first thing is, what does that look like? How we get there, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, I believe that most businesses fail not because they don't have a plan, not because they don't have a decent product or a decent idea. They fail because they don't take the step. They don't do the next thing. They get comfortable where they are. They've decided that we've always done it this way, so it's going to be successful in the future. The success is not determined by what you did in the past. Success is determined on what you choose to do every day. And if you're putting it through the filter of endurance, the filter of efficiency, and all of these things, you can make that decision. You can make bad plans work if you work them.
Right. Yeah.
You can't make the most genius plan in the world work if you do nothing.
Yep.
And people wait so long to institute the best plan that they never get started on a plan.
Yeah. I was watching something the other day, and something came up about a guy he was considered the CEO of the MIH department, the Make It Happen department. And that's what he was known for. He didn't know how he was going to get there, but he's going to make it happen. And I have a really good friend who's an entrepreneur out in...
That's a relative of the GSD department.
Which is?
Get shit done.
Get shit done.
Yeah, so make it happen, get
make
shit
it happen,
done.
Get shit
Absolutely.
done. Yep. I have a good friend who's an entrepreneur out in California, and he talks about, if I want to get to New York and I'm leaving LA, I'm not going to look at the traffic report and say, there's a traffic jam out in Nevada. There is a snowstorm in Colorado. There is cows on the highway in Nevada, and I can't do it. He's going to say, I'm going to get to New York. and I'm going to start. And when he gets there, he might have to take a different road. He might have to take a different turn that he didn't plan, but he's still going to be making that journey. It's all about that endurance.
And the ability to start.
The ability to start, absolutely. Set the alarm clock. Get up.
The greatest killer of companies, the greatest killer of marriages and devourer of families is inertia. Just being stopped somewhere.
Yeah, that's so interesting you say that. So, because inertia can be defined as what? Attitude?
It can be.
Is it a blockage of the process, like what you went through?
People that don't have this endurance mentality, when they hit something that is that blockage, oh, that's it. That's just we weren't supposed to do it.
I have a hard time communicating with those types of people. I have very little patience in my life to begin with, and I choose to not waste it on that type of mindset.
I actually got a call from a potential client, and that potential client asked me the question, do you have a hard time making decisions? And when he asked me that question, it was coming from a place for him, decisions are really, really hard for him because he feels like he has to weigh out everything. And my challenge for anybody who has that type of mentality of decisions are hard, decisions are heavy, is make a small decision. Make a number of small decisions. Make small bets that get you moving, because you have to be able to turn inertia into momentum. If you can't turn inertia into momentum, you can't grow anything.
Yeah, that's so true.
And that's really, I had a hard time with that conversation because of the fact that I don't really know how to deal with you, because in my world, my job is to figure out what is a good route. It doesn't have to be the best route. What is a good route for us to get us from where we are today to where we want to go, and then go execute. And my team kind of yells at me a little bit because they want a whole lot more details than I'm sometimes willing to give them.
Which is totally cool.
Yes.
It's cool, but we don't know the details yet.
Exactly. So they are very lenient with me most of the time.
As you say thank you to
As I say thank you to the folks in the back. Most of the time they're very lenient with me, understanding that Dave is taking us somewhere. He may not know exactly where it's going to end up, but we are going to go and use the momentum that we are able to build in order to build something that has the potential to be really important or really amazing.
Yeah, that could be a whole other episode too. The idea of a successful business owner knows how the inertia works. A business owner knows how inertia works. A very successful business owner understands how to get people to put in place that complement how you and I might just be go, go, go without even having all of the details figured out. A successful business owner can have somebody alongside them and say, look, help me here. Here's what I need. Here's where I'm going to end up. Here's where I want to end up. Let's go on this journey together. And it takes a lot of support to have that actually work out.
And that's the amazing thing about surrounding yourself with a great team. And what a lot of entrepreneurs miss is the fact that you need to know what your strengths are. You also very much need to know what your weaknesses are. Mm-hmm. And the thing that drives me crazy about entrepreneurs that understand what their weaknesses are but still desire to excel in them or have that need to control that part of their business is, if you own the business and someone who has a complementary skill set to you can come alongside you and help you to do a better job, you win. It kills the inertia. It allows you to create momentum. But a lot of people want to hold on to things so tight. And this is the blockage of planning, right?
Yeah.
So they want to plan for every single eventuality that could possibly happen. And that makes it so that they can't get anything done.
I chuckle. I know people like this in my life that I love dearly. And it's paralyzing for some people. That worry can be paralyzing for some people.
And if you're that type of person, that's okay.
It's completely fine.
The entrepreneurial lifestyle is probably not for you.
Probably not.
But that type of person could be second person within a company that helps to shepherd the direction of somebody who's an absolute rocket ship.
Oh, completely. If you're a rocket ship and you get off on the wrong tangent, You need someone to sit back and go, whoa, 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 this is not what you wanted. This is not what you intended. You're doing a few mistakes. They'll worry for you. Sometimes we need someone to worry for us.
We absolutely need all of those types of people in our organizations to create balance, to create good directions, to create an arc of a career that can last over decades rather than shoot into the firmament and then explode.
Yep.
Which is what a lot of people do, because they get to a certain point, they're unable to figure out, okay, what is that next step that I need to take? They're not able to break that inertia, and they just crash and burn, and they bring down their companies, they bring down their families with them. And by recognizing the fact that whenever there are those blocks in the road, it is just a matter of finding out and getting the help that you need in order to take whatever next step needs to be. All that to say, our challenge for our listeners today is really figure out what are those things in your life that are creating that inertia, that immovable object that may be standing in your way, and what are some things you can do to take that one step. We talked about, before this podcast started, the ability to run an Ironman or participate in an Ironman may start with something as dumb as buying some new sneakers.
Or a new watch.
Or a new watch.
I'm telling you, it's motivating. Get some new shoes, get some new laces.
If that works for you, if that's that little piece of incentive that you need, just do it.
Yeah.
If it helps you to accomplish a greater goal, if it helps you to break inertia, if it gets you going in a significant direction, just do it. But make a decision. Make a decision and take a step.
There's a reason Nike has made, I don't know, billions of dollars just from that simple three words.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
You know, it sounds so simple.
So that is straight from Nike's marketers to our mouths to your ears. Just do it, folks. Get out there and break the inertia. Take a step. Let's hear a little bit about what you guys are doing out on the Facebook group. We'd love to hear that. And just do it.
Just do it.
Drop the mic.
Matt, we just turned the calendar from 18 to 19. And whenever that happens, once a year we have an opportunity. And that opportunity is to really focus in and make some decisions about our lives and make resolutions. And the resolution that I would be honored if everybody who's out there listening could go and really take to heart and start thinking about in a really serious way is the resolution to earn more and keep more.
Absolutely. You know, there's only two ways to increase your business. The first way is to increase your sales. Everybody knows this. Increasing your sales is hard to do. It might mean you spend more money. It might mean you take more risk. You have to change some things to increase the level of production that you're creating. The only other way to increase your business is to reduce the cost it took you to get there. So in your resolutions, there's one of two things you should be focusing on. How are you going to get to the next level as far as sales go? And given the sales that you've already made, how can you reduce your cost?
Let's do it. Let's get out there and earn more and keep more.
This has been a Goalpost production.
That's it for us. We are your hosts, Dave McAndrews and Matt Love. Our executive producer and creative guru is Jennifer McKinstry. Our social media director is Mark Farnes. And a very special thank you to Lansing's own Jose Moore for providing the music.
Thanks for listening.